Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk to you guys about characters that can kill Infinity Thanos with a reasonable setup. Now, I know that I've talked about Infinity Thanos before. I've talked about characters who can kill Infinity Thanos. I've highlighted specific instances where I've killed him very quickly, but I thought it would be important to go back now and look, now that most characters in the game have their tier 2, and see which characters, especially with their tier 2 enhancements, can do Infinity Thanos both consistently and without a large number of, assistances or very strong strikers. And I did this in part because I feel like it's still a very important thing that people should be striving for. 5 Infinity Thanos kills versus 2 or 3 is the difference between, over a long period of time, a few months, a lot of black antimatter and chaos nordstones. And we've seen that we're going to consistently need black antimatter and chaos nordstones for people like Doctor Strange, for people like Odin, for people like Dormammu most recently. So getting those 5 Infinity Thanos clears and making sure that you have characters who can clear Infinity Thanos consistently, week after week, without an insane setup of, the perfectly rolled obelisk, perfect ISO 8 set, the perfect strikers, is important, and there was a recent comment actually today, just a few hours ago before I started recording, of one of the Debris boys saying, I can clear Shadowlands 25 stages and I can't kill Infinity Thanos 5 times. What's up with that? Yeah, man, I agree. What is up with that? So let's take a closer look at characters who you can strive to achieve and gear out and tier 2, who will be able to net you those elusive and consistent Infinity Thanos clears. I've divided these characters into 3 groups. There's the no practice group, which basically means you can face roll and do whatever you want and you'll probably win after a couple of tries. The characters that require some practice, whether you need to get a specific uniform or you need to learn the specific patterns of the character and Infinity Thanos. And then there are the a lot of practice end groups, and these are the ones that can do it with a generally average setup of strikers and teammates, but they require a lot of practice. You're really going to need to learn like the back of your hand their skill rotations, how to react when Infinity Thanos does certain skills, and you're gonna have to have multiple attempts at it per day. So given these 3 tiers, you can better prioritize which characters you want based on the tiers that they're being put in. Obviously, I can't hit every single character, so if I miss 1 or 2 here or there, please let me know. However, please note before you jump on the comment section, "Oh, Cynicalex, you forgot this one character that I have a video proof of defeating Infinity Thanos. You're so bad at the game." I am not including characters who require a lot of setup and a lot of preparation in order to defeat Infinity Thanos. So a character that I love, for example, Ant-Man, will not be on this list. I can clear Infinity Thanos with Ant-Man in 1 try, but I need really insane strikers. I need She-Hulk's leadership. I need a lot of additional setup, and that's just not the point of this video. That's not the point of this list. So please keep that in mind when you are critiquing it. Also keep in mind that when possible, when applicable, I will note characters that don't necessarily need to be tier 2 to beat Infinity Thanos, but if I don't mention it, then you should assume that they need to be tier 2. Starting off the list with the no practice characters, of course, top of the list, number 1 character in the game, Doctor Strange. I'm pretty sure a dog could defeat Infinity Thanos as Doctor Strange. If his little pupper paws were just tapping on the screen, he would eventually hit Sorcerer Supreme and then eventually hit Denax demons, and then, it's basically game over. Similarly, Odin, no practice here. The only thing that differentiates Odin from Doctor Strange is the lack of heal, so I guess if you really fudged things up, you might die with Odin, but that's a hard thing to do given that he has 2 defensive skills and such a large reduction in damage incoming. It's a face roll party with Odin and Doctor Strange, the Beard Brothers. Similarly, Enchantress. At tier 2, it's a walk in Central Park. At tier 1, it's like a walk in a park in Chicago. You might get shot, but if you don't, you will clear it. There's a 70% chance at tier 1 that Spellbound works with Maiden's Farewell to charm Thanos or Infinity Thanos. At tier 2, it happens all the time unless he dodges it, so I can read chat the whole time while I'm clearing with tier 2 Enchantress. At tier 1, I could read like 70% of chat. So it's still very, very face roll, very easy, but slightly harder than Doctor Strange and Odin, if that's any consolation. Next up, we have Thanos. No surprise, killing Thanos and Infinity Thanos enough times to unlock your own Thanos will pay dividends, guys. Just rotating through his 3 most popular skills, Titan Punch, Cosmic Shift, and Cosmic Rain, will net you, Cosmic Drop, will net you an Infinity Thanos kill. He does great damage, he has insane survivability, and he doesn't even need overpowered strikers to get that kill within 5 minutes. Next up from the Black Order, we have Corvus. Corvus is a little bit harder than the other ones that I've mentioned. You just need to make sure that the Deadly Charge Outriders are always summoned so they can take aggro away from you and can distract Infinity Thanos. You want to use but cancel Peekaboo because you just want it for the immunity, you don't want it for the damage. And then you want to constantly cast Pain Wheel because it does insane damage. Second to last on the no practice list, we have Dormammu. I just recently got an Infinity Thanos kill with him, and it felt just as easy as Doctor Strange and Odin. I did die, but that's kind of part of the charm of Dormammu. He comes back to life, you know, evanescence and all that. So I'm pretty sure that he's a no-brainer and a no-practice kill for Infinity Thanos. I was basically mashing buttons and I got it. I had a pretty good team, but I had no strikers. So I think with an okay team and okay strikers, it's a face walk for the, you know, fire face walking thing from the Dark Dimension. The last character, heroine on the no practice list for Infinity Thanos is Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel's on this list with an asterisk, so please keep that in mind. The thing with Captain Marvel is, for one, she absolutely needs to be tier 2. When she's tier 2 with the Carol Core passive, she will be able to make herself immune all the time. Binary Explosion will give her 6 seconds of immunity. You can cast that every 6 seconds, so you're just perpetually immune. The challenge with Captain Marvel is to get her skill cooldown to 50%, so you can cast it every 6 seconds, and also to have enough damage. Captain Marvel is not a high DPS character like the other was on this list, so you will use the majority of your 5-minute timer window to kill Infinity Thanos. If you don't have good cards, if you don't have a pretty decent setup for Captain Marvel, you may not clear it in 5 minutes, so you may find struggles there. But if you do meet those prerequisites with your card bonuses and your alliance, it's basically a face roll with Carol. You just basically cast all your skills in rotation, and then he dies. There's nothing that can kill you, essentially, unless you miss your Q and the meteors rain down on you, in fiery hell. The next group on this list requires some practice, and that may be getting a uniform, that may be practicing multiple times to get their skill rotations down, it may be retrofitting them with a particular type of obelisk that has a particular stat on them, but generally these characters can do it with a little bit of practice and a little bit of elbow grease. Starting it off, we have Elsa. She absolutely needs to be tier 2 because she will get her immunity on her 5th skill that way. Tier 1 Elsa cannot pass go for this Infinity Thanos ride. It's become a little bit easier for Elsa to clear Infinity Thanos because of her Monsters Unleashed uniform. Despite the fact that it looks so sexy, it has a terrible icon. It looks like a bad Harley Quinn cosplay. However, she also got another kind of stealth buff because they made her No Mercy 4th skill an iframe, so it's a lot easier to go from Red Flame to No Mercy and back without getting hit. At tier 2, great damage. Elsa, with a little bit of practice, kills Infinity Thanos. Next up, we have Carnage. The reason why Carnage is not a no practice Infinity Thanos clear is because Maximum Carnage grants him 6 seconds of invincibility. And unfortunately, invincibility can be debuffed, like the obelisk procs that give invincibility, and Thanos has 3 skills that debuff, so you can die as Carnage. I've died as Carnage. He has the damage to do it, it's just about the survivability, so it will take some practice. Another combat character that can do it with some practice at tier 2 is Moon Knight. Moon Knight has an excellent passive which makes it very difficult for you to die against Infinity Thanos. You have to basically intentionally die almost. But Moon Knight will struggle a little bit to clear in the full 5 minutes if you don't have reasonable strikers or a physical damage lead for him, because he's not the most high DPS combat character. Next up on the some practice list, we have Proxima. She's not on the no practice list because she is a very weak character in terms of her survivability. She's a glass cannon. She does insane damage, but she can't take a punch. For that reason, you're going to have to get used to her skill rotation. You're going to have to learn how to kite and run around Infinity Thanos. Otherwise, he's going to kill you inside of a minute. However, with the right setup, she can probably kill Infinity Thanos inside of a minute with no buffs passed on from other characters. You just need the practice. The next Black Order character that can also kill Infinity Thanos with some practice is Ebony Maw. Now, I think Ebony trades some of Proxima's damage for some survivability. He's not as powerful in his DPS as Proxima is, but he does have the Nova Core summons to take away aggro, and he does have multiple iframes that he can use to dodge Infinity Thanos and kind of do damage without taking any kind of risks. So Ebony Maw can definitely do it with a little bit of practice, granted you have him, all geared up. The last Black Order member that can do it with some practice is Supergiant. She has similar damage and similar burst potential to Proxima. She's also very, very fragile like Proxima. However, the reason why I rank her a little bit lower than Proxima, I'm only ranking the 3 Black Order characters, by the way, is because her giant illusions can miss a lot more frequently than Proxima's 5th skill, so that will reduce the DPS. And also, if your Puppeteer Black Bolt illusion dies, you are in big trouble. The next character who can clear Infinity Thanos with some practice is Black Panther. Now, I think he needs his tier 2, not because of the survivability. He has a lot of iframes and survivability on his Essence of the Panzer and Energy Dagger skills, and he also does have immunity on his Unseen Predator 5th skill. However, I think he needs the DPS bump from Royal Immunity to do it at tier 2 consistently with just average teammates and average strikers. If you have better than average strikers, you can probably do it with a tier 1 Black Panther. It just depends on what your setup is and what you have available to you. Similar to Black Panther, Black Bolt. I think in his case, unlike Black Panther, Black Bolt absolutely needs to be tier 2, because at tier 2, he does get the immunity from the Quasi-Sonic Scream. That, coupled with the Brutal Whisper HP shield and the iframe on Electron Channeling, give him, I think, enough survivability with his self-buffing leadership to kill Infinity Thanos with a pretty decent team surrounding him. Next up on the list is Red Hulk. Red Hulk, unfortunately, I think needs both his tier 2 passive and his uniform to kill Infinity Thanos. However, with both of those, he can do it. Red Hulk has recently benefited a lot from buffs that given him immunity with his uniform and lots of healing with both his passive and his uniform. So that's fantastic. You will do a lot of face tanking with Red Hulk, so you do need to invest in a recovery rate obelisk. But I think once you take those steps, you can get a pretty consistent world boss Infinity Thanos clear. The next character who can clear Infinity Thanos with just some practice, not a lot, guys, is Sharon Rogers. Sharon Rogers has the luxury of being able to do it at both tier 1 and tier 2. Her Javelin Blast skill and the raw output of Paladin Blast and Freedom Strike make her definitely capable of taking down the Mad Titan within 2 or 3 minutes at tier 1. She can do it even faster, and she's even tankier at tier 2, so if you want to tier 2 her to make it easier, you can. I think it just takes time to learn how to play as Sharon Rogers, so if you haven't seen videos, if you haven't seen my live streams where I've done it, go and check them out, see what the rotation looks like, how you react to Thanos when he does certain skills, and you'll be able to get that kill with Sharon Rogers. The next character that I think can clear Infinity Thanos with some practice is one that I haven't necessarily had practice against Infinity Thanos with, but I think meets all of the requirements. Medusa has an immunity and a buff on her 3rd skill, Hair Blossom. She has an iframe on Hair Drill and another one on Queen's Embrace. I do think she needs to be tier 2 so she gets the increased buff and the crit rate buff. But once she has that, along with her Merciful Queen leadership, I think she has enough damage, and she definitely has enough survivability to take down the Mad Titan in his infinite form. The last character that I think can clear Infinity Thanos consistently with the right setup is Loki. Now, it is going to be difficult because both Energy Barrier and Mind Games, his bread and butter, are debuffed by Thanos, and we talked about debuffs before with Carnage. It's the same with Loki. If Loki gets debuffed, he's basically a sitting duck. I do think it would be a lot easier to have the Infinity Thanos clears if you do get Loki tier 2. However, I think it can be done tier 2 with pretty decent strikers, but you need to be perfect in dodging and avoiding those debuffs. If you don't, you're going to get punished, you're going to die, you're going to have a bad day. The last list of characters, these last 5 heroes and heroines, can clear Infinity Thanos. However, it does require a lot of patience, a lot of practice, so don't expect to get it the first time, maybe don't expect to get it the 10th time. But regardless, you will be able to get it with these characters, either because they have great damage burst or they have high survivability. The first on the list is Ironheart. Despite her low damage, she does have insane survivability with both a 5-second immunity on Prime Cannon and a long, like 3+ second iframe on Barrage Fire. Those two things make her impossible or near impossible for Infinity Thanos to kill unless he gets a sneaky stun in between these two skills being cast. But otherwise, it's just about the DPS. Do you have enough damage with Ironheart to kill him in 5 minutes? Next, we have Yellow Jacket, and I think it's possible for Yellow Jacket, although I haven't tried, to kill Infinity Thanos with Tier 1. It is going to be a lot easier at Tier 2. At Tier 2, he gets survivability, he gets damage. It just makes him an even deadlier force to be reckoned with, and it just explodes his damage up into the sky. At Tier 2, the only thing you need to really do with Yellow Jacket is learn his skill rotation and learn when to use certain skills like the Flying Barrage or the Swarm Shot or the Laser Burst in order to counter what Thanos is doing and put yourself in a good position moving forward. But once you get that practice down, Yellow Jacket should give you a pretty consistent Infinity Thanos clear. Next, we have Hellstorm. Now, Hellstorm requires a lot of practice for a couple of reasons. For one, he doesn't get a heal until he gets his Tier 2 passive, so if you're trying to do it at Tier 1, it's going to be extremely difficult. You basically can't get touched. For two, his 5-second immunity on Fire Burst leaves you time to be hit. There is a few moments in between where you can't cast it again, so you need to use an iframe like Ring of Fire, or you just need to kite around. So for that reason, it will take more practice to learn his skill rotation, to learn what Infinity Thanos is doing before you can get a consistent kill with Hellstorm. Keep in mind, you'll also probably need a fire leadership like Satana or Red Hulk, so it does take away from some of Hellstorm's shine. Second to last on the list that can clear Infinity Thanos with a lot of practice is Hulk. Now, he does need to be Tier 2 to take advantage of all of the extra bonuses that he gets, and he probably needs his Secret Wars uniform because it has a more fluid, faster rotation of skills, whereas the World Hulk uniform has a lot of long animations that get you stuck for too long dealing damage, and thusly if you have to interrupt them, you're losing out on DPS. So I do prefer the Secret Wars one for Infinity Thanos. However, it will take a lot of work. You are going to die. You're basically face tanking Thanos, but you don't have any immunity like Red Hulk, so it is going to be very difficult, and you do need to build him very, very well with a lot of care and a lot of attention to detail. The last character that I think can clear Infinity Thanos with consistency given a lot of practice is a name I never thought I would utter in the same sentence as can kill Infinity Thanos. The hailing meme queen, Elektra. Elektra, with her Tier 2 passive, mind you, can deal massive damage. All the crits, all of that iframe action is enough to make her Infinity Thanos capable and capable of killing the Mad Titan. However, you do need to really understand how the character moves, where she goes, what each iframe skill does, so that you can string them together and put them into a coherent pattern that will be able to kill the Infinity Thanos boss. You do need the Tier 2, and you may need slightly above average strikers to do so, but it is possible given a high level of play and practice. So guys, that's my list for characters who can clear Infinity Thanos consistently with just your average team setup and average strikers. Let me know what your thoughts are, how you think I did with this list, if I missed any characters or if I overrated certain characters. And of course guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.